After the Battle of the Philippine Sea resulted in a stunning defeat with over 400 planes lost, the Japanese felt that in order to destroy the American landing forces in Leyte, they would commit most of their remaining surface fleet in a decisive battle. Thus, the stage was set for the largest naval battle in World War II and in history. Neither side had unified command. Commanding the U.S. 7th Fleet was Admiral Thomas Kinkaid, who reported to General MacArthur. His task was to support the landing forces directly. Meanwhile, Admiral William F. Halsey Jr. commanded the U.S. 3rd Fleet. He reported to Admiral Nimitz and was tasked with providing more distant cover and support for the invasion. The Japanese, meanwhile, had 3 separate fleets. Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa commanded the Northern Force, composed of the surviving Japanese carrier fleet. This included the Zuikaku, which took part on the attack on Pearl Harbor. Admiral Shoji Nishimura commanded the Southern Force, which was composed of the older battleships Fuzu and Yamashiro, the cruiser Mogami, and their escorts. The Japanese main power, though, was in their center force, led by Admiral Takeo Kurita. This fleet had Japan's 2 super battleships, the Yamato and the Musashi, the biggest battleships to have ever been built. Nishimura's southern force was to sail through the Sulu Sea and Surigao Strait and approach Leyte Gulf from the south, while Kurita's center force was to sail through the Sibuyan Sea and San Bernardino Strait, coming down on Leyte Gulf from the north. Meanwhile, Ozawa's northern force was to act as a decoy to Halsey's 3rd Fleet, which reflected on the depleted nature of the Japanese naval air arm. With the American fleets split up, Nishimura's southern force and Kurita's center force were then to pincer attack Kinkaid's 7th Fleet and destroy their invasion. As the American 10th and 24th Corps moved inland after landing on the beaches of Tacloban, Palo, and Dulag, the Japanese Navy set in motion their plan to try and stop them. But things began to go wrong from the start. In the morning of October 23, Vice Admiral Kurita's center force was hit by 2 American submarines off Palawan. His flagship, the heavy cruiser Atago, and the sister ship Maya were hit with torpedoes and sunk. Another was severely damaged and turned back for Brunei. Kurita himself had to swim to survive the sinking flagship and was transferred to the battleship Yamato. Meanwhile, Admiral Halsey had detached 2 of his 3rd Fleet's 4 carrier groups to take on provisions and rearm. Upon receiving the contact report from the submarines off Palawan, he recalled Task Group 38.4. Thus, he would only have 3 of his 4 carrier groups involved in the fight. October 24, 8 a.m. Kurita's center force had advanced into the Sibuyan Sea, where it was detected by an American scout plane. Kurita requested for air support. Instead, about 60 land-based Japanese planes launched an attack against Rear Admiral Frederick Sherman's Task Group 38.3, and at heavy cost, were able to sink 1 carrier, the USS Princeton, the largest American ship sunk in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. An hour later, planes of Rear Admiral Jeref F. Bogan's Task Group 38.2 hit Kurita's planeless force, the main target being the super battleship Musashi. The cruiser Miyoko was also crippled and ordered to turn back for Borneo. Throughout the day, 5 aerial attacks from Rear Admirals Bogan, Sherman, and Davidson found at least 17 bombs and 19 torpedoes on the Musashi, which left it on the retreat crippled to only 6 knots.